ones who torment the weak. You're atrocious, offensive, and despicable. Damn you all, you awful villains. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I told you not to touch those. I kinda need them for my job. I appreciate the wake-up call, gentlemen. Yours truly has a job to do.
Before we get started, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and also tell us your top 2 favorite cartoons or anime and why.
All right, I will do that. First of all, Raysean, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really an honor to be here. I'm Christopher Corey Smith, and I have been working in voiceover pretty much since the Earth cooled. And I'm originally from Northern California, from the San Francisco Bay Area. Grew up on the peninsula, went to UC Berkeley, go Bears. ACT, I have an education in classical theater. I ran a Shakespeare company for a number of years, but it just wasn't as fun as working in cartoons. So it made me feel really legitimate, but I kind of went, this is a lot of work, and I don't necessarily like it as much as I like working in cartoons. So, Leslie, speaking of cartoons, my 2 favorites, one is an anime, and it is one I happen to be in.
Okay.
Called Gurren Lagann.
Oh,
2008.
amazing.
2008, 2009, somewhere way back in the day. And I voiced the character of Kite. And to this day, it is my, no disrespect to, Hunter x Hunter and One Piece and all of those other fantastic shows that I've had the chance to be in, but Kite in Gurren Lagann is still my favorite.
Okay.
If anybody out there hasn't seen it, it's 24 episodes, low commitment. You can binge it in a day. Half-hour episodes, so 12 hours and you're done. It's fantastic. It has an amazing arc. My character has a tremendous story, has great character development, and in fact, we got to the last episode and I was not expecting what happened in the last episode. And I'm going to leave it there. Even working on the show, I didn't know what to expect. So let's see, that would be one, and that's the one I'm in, and I'm going to go way back for another favorite. This was the favorite of 6-year-old me when I was watching reruns of Golden Age anime after school. And I was a huge fan of Kimba the White Lion.
Okay.
I just loved it. Something about it resonated with me, and I just couldn't wait to see it every day after school. And I loved it so much, in fact, that I wanted to be Kimba. I wanted to die and come back as Kimba the White Lion, not just be his voice, because I had no idea how animation worked. But obviously, as a 6-year-old, I had a full working knowledge of reincarnation. And I knew that I could die and then come back as a 2-dimensional jungle cat. So I'm going to go with those 2, Alex, for my final answer.
Wow. Okay. That last one kind of surprised me a little bit because, right now in anime, isekais are like the big things, all about the reincarnation. So I don't think that was a big thing when you were a kid, but the fact that you were already thinking about that is just amazing to me.
It was a big thing back then. Yeah,
I definitely got to check that out. I've seen images and scenes from it, but I've never sat down and watched it. So I definitely got to check that out.
Well, the creators of The Lion King thought it was good enough for them to lift a lot from it. So, and that's not me saying that. That's out there in the internet world. So,
okay,
yeah, you did not hear it here first.
But Gurren Lagann, I will say,
Gurren Lagann, absolutely
amazing anime. It's one of the things where When I first watched it, it's so hard to tell who's the main character of that show.
Mhm.
Because the character you think should be the main character gives you all the energy, and then oh my god, it's one of the first animes I ever had where my heart actually got broken a little bit because it's
Me
like,
too.
the hell, I've never seen this happen before.
Me too. Me too. And you're absolutely right about like who is the main character, because it starts out one way, then it goes a different way. Then by the time it's the end, you realize it's me. And just saying.
And it's such a crazy arc. Like we
It
just
is.
saying, the story arc of it is amazing. I love it. It kind of brings you into like you start off one of the characters start off more of a coward. Then he's kind of learning from the bigger character. I can't think of his name right now. It's been so long ago, but he's so energetic, inspiring, and everything. And then something happens to him, and then he has to kind of take over that role a little bit, and kind of it's very coming of age type of story. I kind of love it.
It's very coming of age, and it's very intelligent. The characters have tremendous character arcs. My character starts out as this, wisecracking kind of a snarky douchebag. Gosh, what a shock! Me playing a snarky douchebag. And he has tremendous character growth. And by the end, it's like, wow, was not expecting that. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Gurren Lagann, 24 episodes, 12 hours, binge it in a day. You've got your homework. I want you to have seen it the next time we cross paths, everybody out there in Raysean land.
For sure. I'm even gonna have to check it out again because that just gave me something to rewatch. You know what I mean?
It's a good rewatch. It's a really good rewatch.
For my top 2 favorite anime are cartoons, but which pretty much they're anime. For my first one, I had to choose, the granddaddy of all anime, Dragon Ball.
Okay.
It's hard for me to kind of pick any other anime over it because it's just amazing to me. I know a lot of people have their complaints on the story a little bit, but
was that one that just imprinted on you at a particular time? It was in the right place and you were the right age. How'd you first come to it?
Wow, this is actually a funny story because I remember one time when I was at my aunt's house and I was just skimming through the TV show because she had cable, and I was going through the channels, and I just happened to just see Dragon Ball, and I'm just sitting there watching it, and I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this before, but like instead of like in my dreams, like the way they're moving and shooting abilities and stuff, it was, to me, it surpassed any other regular cartoon I ever watched. And I remember just sitting there watching episode after episode after episode, and I'm not realizing I was watching them on demand, and every one episode I was watching was costing. And I remember my aunt coming in and was like, "Is there a marathon going on?" Something like that. And I was just like, yeah. And then the next week, when I actually had to get a little punishment for that, I was a little upset about it. But I found my childhood right there.
They got you hooked.
It was so good. And I got right into like the Frieza arc, so it was just amazing.
Love it. I have not done time on Dragon Ball, not for lack of trying, but I have many talented friends who are on it. And so I love it. I love that it's as popular as it is.
It's amazing. I hope they make some more. I know the author died and everything, but I still hope they make some more Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
But for my next one, if you guys see my hat, and I just got a hoodie from this anime. It's so crazy because a lot of people don't really like sports anime, but this literally has become one of my top. It's called Haikyuu. I love the main character. It made me very interested in the sport of volleyball. I've started to do a little bit more research on it, and it's actually pretty cool to kind of just watch volleyball. At first, it was kind of hard for me because I was expecting it to look like the anime, which it took me a second to kind of be able to understand what is real and what is not real.
Right.
But I do like going in there knowing some of the positions and some of what they needed to do from the anime. So that translated. So
okay.
I think it's pretty cool.
Where do we find it?
Oh, Haikyuu? You can find it on I think they just got it on Crunchyroll now, where you can actually watch all the full dub. Because I think for a while it was kind of hard to find for like season 2, but I think they just got the whole one especially on Crunchyroll.
Got it. All right.
Definitely gotta check it out.
Give it a look.
But Well, before we could dive into all our questions and everything, we're gonna go
Mhm.
ahead and just talk about what we've recently been watching, what we've listened to, or been
Yeah.
playing recently.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the floor. Anything new movies or TV shows?
Oh wow, new movies. What have I been watching? Well, I did just get back from Paris, so I'm a little behind
Okay.
in most of the movies that are out there. I have not really seen. This is such a boring answer. I have not really seen anything that's been in theaters that people are going crazy about. Um, Musically, same. Now, games wise, my wife and I are playing. I'm mostly watching her play Cyberpunk.
Okay. Okay.
She is just having the best time with that, and I enjoy the aesthetic of it, and I love watching her go through. And she loves fighting games. She's 5 feet tall, and so not someone that you would expect would just be into first person shooters, but she is.
No.
And I just have the best time watching her, plus hearing friends, um hearing friends' voices coming out of the game. And as far as games that I play, and I am still an old school Nazi zombie player.
Mm,
I love me some Nazi zombies, the two best things to shoot. And I just
I
I
feel it.
just I just love it. And also Steve Bloom, who is a dear friend, is one of the voices of the characters. We hear him all the time. And it's gonna sound weird, but Nazi zombies, when my wife and I play together, it's this wonderful team building exercise. It's, I don't know, it's like couples therapy.
I feel that. When you're both kind of angry and y'all need to take it out on something.
Well,
Feel that.
not even so much that, but we just really connect because we have to play as a team.
Okay.
And I've got your back, you've got my back, that kind of thing. And you add the adrenaline rush of the game, and the dopamine hits that you get. It's just that's what we're having fun with right now. What are you playing? I'm
Oh,
sure
what
it's a
am
lot
I
more
playing?
interesting. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not going to be that much interesting because I'm more of a watcher. I don't really play games as much.
All
I've
right.
been trying to get into games a little bit more, but what I've been watching recently, I just got done watching Zootopia 2,
All
which I
right.
thought was pretty good. I took my little brother to go see that.
Okay.
I will say, I think I liked the Zootopia 1 a little bit better, but I think it's
Mhm.
always hard to beat the original. You know what I
The
mean?
first
But
one.
2 was really good too.
Good. All right.
And recently, also, what I've been watching, I kind of told you about it a little bit earlier, is I just been rewatching the It movies from
Right.
the earlier one, the TV series one,
Right. The Tim
the
Curry
two
one.
for 2 episodes. I
Mhm.
just rewatched that one because I wanted to compare it to the 2017 version one.
All right.
And I will say they both have their reasons to be made at the time they were made.
Okay. Okay.
Because I prefer the 2000, the newer version of it, because I
Yeah.
think he is a better kind of looking clown and seems more scary.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
understand when people say the Tim Curry one scared them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to me, because even though people say the clown looks so realistic that it didn't seem scary, I'm like, that to me seems more scary
Yeah.
because that seems like something you can kind of low key run into and be like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
so that was my thing.
I
But then I've
totally.
also
Yeah.
got to watch The Welcome in Derry, which is phenomenal. Oh, it's really good.
All right. Well, you're the second person in 24 hours that has recommended that to me, so I now have to dive into it.
For sure. I need
All
to
right.
dive into the book. A lot of people have been telling me I need to dive into the book
Mm.
because there's a
All
lot of
right.
things that they haven't been able to actually put on the screen, and that
Mhm.
there's some stuff that I will be surprised that's even in the book. So I need to
Right. Sure.
check it
Not
out myself.
everything makes the transition.
For sure, for sure. Have
Yeah.
you read the book or any?
I have not. I haven't read Stephen King in years.
Okay.
I think the last thing I read of his was a collection of short stories called Night Shift, which were ridiculously scary.
Okay.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that if you like your horror in bite-sized chunks.
Okay. Okay. Definitely got to check
Um,
that out. I need to check out his whole career. It seemed
oh,
like has he mostly just did horror his whole career?
mostly, but then he's done other works that have been turned into movies, like Stand By Me was a movie from the 80s starring River Phoenix and Kiefer Sutherland, and it wasn't a horror movie.
Okay.
I'm sure the book was probably tense, but it wasn't horror. I think Green Mile was a movie that came from a
Oh,
Stephen King book.
really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. So he's got a lot of stuff out there. Not everything is Carrie and Dead Zone and The Stand. You know.
Yeah, I was just thinking he was just a horror icon type thing because I'm like, it seemed like every horror movie I end up liking or watching, it has some Stephen King element to it.
He's ridiculously skilled when it comes to that.
Only thing I
Building
know
tension
is
and
that
terror.
he hated The Shining, and I've been trying to go rewatch
Oh
The
yeah,
Shining to see why,
yeah,
but I heard he hated it.
yeah, yeah. I hmm, I haven't read the book. I've only seen the movie, and I remember being really impressed by the movie. But I really like Stanley Kubrick as a director. But
Mhm.
I guess some people feel that it wasn't the right fit, maybe
Mm,
tonally. Kind of like Ang Lee directing the Hulk.
okay.
People weren't too keen on that. They were
Uh,
just like, yeah, each is good in their own right, but they don't fit. So
Man,
each their
I
own.
I know it's kind of hard to be like an author or somebody who wrote a book, and then someone like we're
Yeah,
gonna try to put that on screen, and you're like, I
yeah.
don't know this world. I'm like, this is a super imaginative world. Do you actually have the animation to create this? Because if not, it's not
Hmm.
going to be what I pictured. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. And even when they do put it up there, you're like, no, that's not how it looks. No. So, you know, don't
Well,
know how Frank Herbert would feel about the new Dunes, you know.
okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead, jump right into our interview.
Let's do it.
One of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on is because I wanted to talk about your experience working on Demon Slayers.
Oh yeah.
How
Yeah.
was it playing a demon? Were you surprised how popular the anime has gotten?
Uh well, yes and no. No, in the sense that before I was on the show, I knew how popular it was. In
Okay.
fact, the popularity of the show and me having seen a handful of episodes prompted me to do something that I very rarely do. In fact, maybe never. Um, I heard that a studio that I've worked with for like the last 23, 24 years was doing the English dub. And I knew the people who would be doing the casting. And I wrote to them and I just said, I want to do Demon Slayer. I want to be in Demon Slayer. Let me audition for Demon Slayer. And so they were like, okay, fine. They sent me 3 characters. I don't remember which characters they were. I just know that I didn't get them.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was just like, oh, so close. So close. Yeah, it's who you know, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee you the job. So the 4th one that I got was Hantengu. And I saw the picture and I went, oh, he's so handsome. Yeah, no wonder they want me to play him because he's just so good looking and he's so brave and charming.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not what went through my head, but
I was thinking.
that's the rationalization that I have now because he's kind of not handsome and he's kind of a cringy coward and everything. So I listened to the original Japanese voice and I went, okay, I've got a take on this. And I sent it back and that was the one that landed. And I had a great time recording him. First of all, I would say, months and months and months before I came in to do the actual show, what the 10 episodes of the series, I did the movie, the Swordsmith Village
Mhm.
arc movie that showed up in theaters. And so my son and I went to see it. And we just sat there, and my mind was kind of blown. And then I get to see my character and hear my voice coming out of this character in a movie theater, which is just a childhood dream come true.
For sure.
And I didn't even have to die and come back as a demon. I could just go into a studio and lend my voice and then sit still alive in the theater. So it was kind of the best of all worlds.
For sure.
And I just came out of there going, oh my God, what did we just see? That was just mind-blowing. Loved it. And then months later, they called, and it was time to go into the studio and do the rest of the season. And a lot of the season, not gonna lie, very vocally stressful, because I don't know if this is gonna be a spoiler. You know, in Demon Slayer, that the heads have to get cut off. Well,
yeah.
It takes a long time for Hantengu to get his head cut off, like 3 whole episodes. And I would come in, and that's not even the end. Okay, that's just somewhere in the middle. And so I would come in, and the whole episode would be like, and then it's like, okay, bye. I'm gonna go home and recover now. I come in the next day, and they're like, well, he's still getting his head chopped off. Okay, bye. I come in the 3rd time, and I'm like, is he getting his head chopped off this time? And they're like, nope, still going. I think the 3rd time was the charm, though, but there was more to him than that. They didn't do him in so easily. And he screams and he yells a lot, and he's such a coward. Oh, terrifying. Which was a lot of fun. And when I do that, like live at conventions or card shows and things like that, it just, people giggle and they're like, oh my God, that's him. And that makes me really happy, that it just tickles them so much. But so we finished up the show, and again, I don't want to spoiler it, but at the end, you get the extended episode where you learn about the demon's backstory from that season. And I remember Swordsmith Village, and I went, oh, because we got to find out, oh, that's how they came to be who they are. Like, oh, my heart goes out for them. They were, oh, that's really, they're 3-dimensional characters, and they didn't mean to be bad, kind of thing. Anyway, we get to the end, and my character is just an asshole. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, he was always destined to be this. And I got to find some fun layers and some fun levels in him, for him in his human form. But he was not what I expected. Not what I expected. I was thinking it was going to be another Swordsmith Village arc where we got to find out, oh, poor Hantengu, he didn't mean to be bad. He was just, oh no, he totally was.
If I remember correctly, he was like a liar, wasn't he? He just
and then some, and a thief, and yeah,
kept building up.
Not an honorable guy, and always, please don't hurt me, kind of thing. And so that was not what I expected. And then they brought me back a couple of times for games. So Demon Slayer is just the gift that keeps on giving. I am so thrilled to be a part of it. He's a voice that is not readily identifiable as me. And so, people find out that, wait a minute, you were the voice of Kite and you were the voice of Hantengu? Because they sound distinctly different. And that's just the best compliment that I can get. It's like, wow, I don't hear you in there. Thank you. That is what I strive for in every job, is to make every character unique and sound as little like me as possible. So that was my Hantengu Demon Slayer journey.
For sure. I have to say, well, you really did it, because I cannot tell that's in your voice at all, just from your
Oh,
regular
thank
speaking
you.
voice. A lot of times I can kind of hear it in people's voices and be like,
Sure.
yeah, that's
Sure.
them. But no, not
I'm glad.
this specific character.
Good. I'm glad. I'm
Well,
glad. There
gonna-
are characters that I do that sound a lot more like me. You know,
Which character would you say you feel sounds the most like you?
oh wow. It's not Keaton. Kite sounds more like me than others. I've got some characters in oh god. Fire Emblem. In the Fire Emblem games.
Okay.
Who and I listen back and I go, well, that's just me. That's not interesting. That's just me. Who wants to listen to me? But you know, if I'm playing 7 different characters, I guess one of them's going to have to just sound like regular old me.
For sure. It's like I can only scratch it out so much. You know
yeah.
Since we've kind of since you've brought up Kite a few times, I kind of just want to go ahead and bring up Hunter x Hunter.
Let's bring it up. Absolutely.
How was it working in that series and kind of being almost involved with the big fight everyone likes to talk about with Gon and being the motivation behind that?
Well, that it was a very great honor to sound like a Klingon. To be that part of the progression of Gon's journey and that progression of the story. Do I wish I could have had more episodes? Yes,
for sure.
Yeah. Do I wish maybe I, didn't reincarnate the way I did? Yeah. But and again, trying not to do the spoilers, but we always loop back around to reincarnation somehow in this chat. But I loved doing Kite. I loved doing that. He's super stoic and he's just very calm. And the most animated he gets is when he goes, "Damn, that was a bad spin." And what was funny about that behind the scenes was that I must have auditioned for that character close to 2 years before I got the call. I don't know what happened, and it may not be exactly that long. Maybe it just seemed like it, but it was a long, long time. So I went in and I read for it, and I'm like, "Oh, this guy is great. I'm gonna have a blast doing him if I get him." Nothing but crickets and tumbleweeds for 2 years. And then I finally get the email and they're like, "Well, we're ready for you. Do you still want to do Kite?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. It's about time."
So were they kind of waiting until they got to that part in the story, or to
probably,
Okay.
yeah. I would imagine they knew he was coming up. They knew it was going to be pivotal, but yeah, I don't think they were ready for me at that point. And I went in and I worked with Tony Oliver, who was my director, who has directed me in so many things over the years. He was my director for Gurren Lagann, and I just have the best time with him. He is so talented and such a good director. And we knocked it out, and it was over. And he's like, "Oh, that's it." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Seriously?" He's like, "Yeah, that's it." Okay. But he lives on in the hearts and minds of Hunter fans all over the world.
Sure.
Which is wonderful. I do conventions all over the States and in the UK, and he's just a favorite. He's a favorite everywhere, and I am thrilled that I got to be his voice.
For sure, because I mean, for that whole series and the whole Chimera arc, he's like the big motivation for Gon to basically does what he do and turn into the adult form, and he has to take on and get his revenge for Kite, and then he basically loses all his men, and then you realize that Kite comes back, because I do like Gon's dad saying, he had a few abilities that he locked away from Kite, so he couldn't just spend them, but he had abilities that he can still do, so you shouldn't count him out type thing. So
all right.
I thought
Right.
that was amazing. Like just overall, I love
Very complex and a very I don't want to say motivational, but very very compelling storytelling.
Yeah, because
in
if you
that
think
show.
about it, that was like his only kind of father figure for a little bit.
It was absolutely, yeah.
And then just to lose him like that, I feel it
Mhm.
for him.
Yeah, yeah.
So my next question I want to ask you:
Yes.
do you think there's any misconceptions about voice acting?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. A lot of people think it's a lot easier than it is.
Okay.
The number of times that people come up to me and they say, "Yeah, I always wanted to get into voice acting. I do a little bit on the side, make some extra money," as opposed to, "This is what I want to make my career into." Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like
They're treating it like a hobby.
treating it like a hobby, and there are a lot of people in the business for whom it is our careers. It's
Mhm.
just our lifelong pursuit. And if you don't treat it as seriously as Steve Bloom does, or Keith Silverstein does, or Karen Strassman does, then it's not going to work out for you, and it's just going to disappoint you. And it's an art form and a craft that deserves to be treated better than as a hobby, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If you just want to do YouTube videos and fan dubs and things like that, great. There's a place for that. Do that. But I don't have any advice for someone who just wants to kind of, again, to do it on the side. I've got a lot of advice for people who want to actually pursue it as a career,
Mhm.
and find that that's their calling, or the type of acting that they really want to pursue. I can talk for hours about that and joyfully. But so that's one that people think that it's easier than it is. A lot of people think, oh, well, I have a voice. I want to get paid for talking. And you may even have an amazing voice, but take classes, get a coach. You might be a really good baseball player, but you're never going to go to the World Series unless you train.
Mhm.
Unless you have people telling you what to do right and what not to do wrong. Another misconception is that you have to have the voice of God. You've got to have this, this gravitas, and you don't. I don't have the voice of God. And so my niche was being able to do Hantengu and Kite, doing two distinctly different characters that don't sound like each other,
Mhm.
and being able to do that successfully, so that people will go, huh, we have this character. Let's see if Chris can do it. And so I go in and, we'll prove to people, yes, I can do this. And they'll be like, okay, great. Phew. We've got these 16 other characters. Would you do those too? Which
Okay.
has happened. I would get a call from my friends who were doing video games, and they'd be like, I've got these 7 or 8 characters at the end. They have one line each. Can you come in and back cleanup and just do something distinctly different for all of them? Yes, I can. I got to do that yesterday for a project that is under NDA, but I got to be 28 different characters.
Wow.
Now I guarantee you,
A lot of them probably sound
a
similar.
lot of them sounded similar, or you would know that, oh, that's me, or that's Chris. But it was still great. It was still great. And I would say that there's probably, 10 or 12 in there that are going to be distinctly different.
Okay,
So it
that's
was
still
fun.
a big
And
number.
that kind of thing is really great. So you don't have to have the voice of God. Voiceover right now is probably the busiest it's ever been
For sure.
In my lifetime, in my career, there's a lot of
New talent.
projects out there. There's a lot of opportunity, and it's not going to go away. It's just, people want more content. It's one of the good things that came out of the pandemic was people just started eating up the anime.
For sure. It was the only thing that was still going.
It was keeping people going on both sides of the booth. People were watching it, and people like myself got to continue to work. Cindy and I have a studio in our home, and that allowed us to keep working while all the other studios out in the world were shutting down. So anime kind of sustained us through the pandemic.
Ain't that crazy?
I'm so grateful. And I mean, I have loved anime ever since I was 6 and was watching Kimba and Astro Boy and Speed Racer. Those were my big ones. And then I don't know how old I was, but I moved to LA and I took a class at a junior college, and my professor wound up getting me my first job in voiceover, and she wound up getting me work for about 15 years, I think, but she got me my first jobs in anime back in 1983. I worked on Captain Harlock and Robotech.
Oh, okay.
And I still run into people who,
I think Paul St. Peter was on that.
Paul St. Peter was on that. Richard Epcar was in that. Wendy Lee was in that. And I didn't know them back at the time. They were the main characters. I think Tony Oliver was in that. I was third guy from the left who screams when he blows up.
Oh, okay.
And I was on the night shift, which meant I showed up at 6 o'clock and I went home at 2. And so I would sleep in the lobby or in the stairwell or on the couch or wherever, I could relax, and they'd come and they'd wake me up and they're like, come on.
That was hourly, right?
I don't remember.
Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe not. It was the 80s. So I don't know. I don't remember that part of it. I just remember, I'd be asleep and they'd come and they'd poke me and they'd be, all right, come on. It's time to be third guy from the left who screams when he blows up. It's time to be thug number 2. Or whoever, your alien soldier D. And I would do that. And then I would go and I would get in my car. And because it was the 80s, I had a car with a T-top. I would take the T-top off and I would drive down Sunset Boulevard at night, having just done anime. And I'm like, I have arrived. I have arrived. I am living the life. And I wasn't wrong.
For sure. I'm glad you appreciated that much.
I loved it.
Another question for you, because I've been finding this interesting since you've been in the industry for a while. Since the pandemic, I know there's been a whole boom of new voice actors getting in the game. Do you feel like the talent has risen with the new people coming in, or do you feel like it's not sustaining or growing? The talent of voice acting.
Yes to both.
Okay.
But I think that's always the case. I think you always have a fresh crop of cadets from the academy, and some of them stay and some of them drop out. And it was like that. It was like that back when I was in classes and when I was starting out. It's a hard business. It's especially hard if you want to make a living at it. Okay. And so, a lot of people, they just go, it's too much work. I just can't do it. I'm not making enough money on the side. It's not a fun hobby kind of thing.
So do you think a lot of people go into it like unprepared, not really knowing what's going to happen? Or
Sure. I think a lot of people, much like myself, grew up watching anime, and they love it. They're drawn to it because of what it means to them emotionally and what it was for them in their formative years. And then the reality of the business is something something
can't
different
act.
yet again. That it's kind of like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this part of the game.
Hmm.
Um, and it just doesn't wind up being worth it for them. That being said, there are people who stick it out. They have the tenacity, and they wind up being in the business and being regulars and go, bouncing from show to show to show to show, and making a career and a life out of it. Because the thing about voiceover is there's so many different aspects to it.
Yeah,
Anime is only one aspect of
very
it,
small.
and it's very hard to make a living, especially in Southern California, doing only anime.
Hmm.
Anime's got to be part of your voiceover portfolio. You have to do video games as well. You need to do commercials. You need
Audiobooks.
audiobooks, narration, promos and trailers, and you need to have all of that in order to have this.
Even work modules. Somebody told.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And there are those people like my wife Cindy. She was a Broadway star, a Broadway musical star before she got into voiceover, and so she's really good at singing on things. So that puts her in an even more rarefied category. And she's very good at directing. She does all the musical directing for Elder Scrolls Online, which is a very stylized, very specialized form of singing. But she's qualified for it because of the experience and the education that she's had.
Just like I said earlier, I can't wait to kind of, if I can get her on the show and dive into her history.
She would love it. She would love it. Like I said, she's a lot more fun than me.
But my next question, which I will say, you've been very fun just hearing your history and everything.
Oh,
So she's gonna have a lot to beat. You were also in one of my other favorite animes, Bleach.
Yes, Bleach.
You played one of my favorite visors, Rose, who was one of the captains, and you also played Makoto. I might have said that wrong, but he was one of the. He was a minor villain in one of the filler arcs.
Yes,
where that Zampa toes come to life and everything.
And he had that hand that turned into a thing.
Yeah. I forgot what they were called.
I forget too. I confuse him with one of my characters from Naruto who had a hand that could turn you to stone.
Okay.
I don't think it was. He could do that. I forget what his hand could do.
I forgot what it could do, but I know it was something illegal they were doing or something.
Yeah.
So how was it working on that series?
I loved it,
and also bringing on the new series because they did come back.
They did. I didn't wind up working on that. I had a scheduling problem. So when the opportunity came up to do Rose for the new show, for the modern show, I wasn't able to do it. So they got my dear friend, the immensely talented Kirk Thornton, to come in and do that. And Kirk and I have traded off roles since we've known each other. So it's like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, I had some family stuff going on, and so I wasn't able to be back in the show. But I mean, I loved being in the show. It was fascinating, especially as Makoto Kabune, because I probably spent the most time with him. Even though he was a side arc, I loved Rose. I mean, he was great, but he spent a lot of time sort of sidekicking. He was just sort of there, and he would fight, and they didn't need me for that. But he was fun to do when he did have his storylines. I loved being Wonderwise.
Okay,
because all he would say was Wonderwise, and he's so totally OP. And he would just come in and lay waste to his enemies, and so that was fun. But I mean, it was great. That was at a time where I was doing so much, anime, I was pretty much working every day. I was usually in about 5 or 6 different shows. I was doing that. I was doing Naruto.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
they would bring me in for Naruto, and I would be some 3-episode arc bad guy. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was almost always my director on that, and I just adore her. But I would come in and she would go, "Oh, we have a lovely psychopath for you today." And I'm like, "Oh, don't I get to be a good guy sometimes who like lasts more than 3 episodes?" Not that I'm complaining. But that's the big difference. People say, what's the difference between playing a bad guy and playing a good guy? Well, the good guy gets to be there for the whole show, and the bad guy doesn't.
For sure. But the bad guy gets to do more, gets to express more. That's the only reason why I will want to be a bad guy.
The bad guy gets to push societal boundaries. He does. And we get to go, ooh, look at that. Oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, but we as Americans, we play by the rules because we're good and we see ourselves as good. Oh, but that guy looks like he's having fun. Which is the whole philosophy behind the Joker. The Joker's just having fun. But
which you are a voice of, which to me it's like your category of stuff that you have voiced. And I want to give you your props when you just said you did Wonder Weiss and then Rose, because those characters sound completely different.
Thank you.
Amazing. But yeah, you've also got the Joker in your catalog. You got a huge catalog of different voices you've done over the years.
I've been around for a minute. Yeah.
And then you brought up Naruto, which I kind of want to bring up too, is the fact that you play Ibiki, who's basically the proctor for the tuning exams. One of my favorite parts of the tuning exams, the first exam where you kind of get Naruto slamming his hand down on the desk talking about, I'm not going to quit. And then you realize at the end of the day, he never even answered a question. He low-key just got out. He passed that with spirit. Now, how do you enjoy working on Naruto?
That was great. Ibiki was he was the character that I did in Naruto that had the most screen time. So I really enjoyed him, but I loved what went into his character. Here's this guy. He's shaping the youth, and he's got some questionable stuff in his background, and he's got some questionable ways of doing things. Because am I recalling correctly? He was an interrogator, and it's like, oh, okay, I see. So I always had that in the back of my mind that this guy's kind of dark. And
mentally trying to break you down,
yes, very much so. And he's got some things in his past that would probably scare you. And that was just what went into it for me, making him just filling out his character internally for me. Now I remember the very first character that I played in Naruto. It was for the 3rd movie, Guardians of the Crescent Moon Kingdom. And I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but he had his hand had an eye in it, and if he touched you with that hand, you turned to stone, and then you could be like broken and stuff, and you'd be dead. And so that happened a lot to people we didn't want that to happen to.
I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of that character's name.
I can't either. But he could also teleport. And my very first scene in that movie, so my very first scene in Naruto is Naruto and his crew are like walking down the beach. And Naruto is being, well, let me tell you, that those times when he just gets so puffed up and so full of himself, and it's one of the, I like that they go there with the character, but it's one of those things that's like, God, you're so obnoxious. And my character
I think I have the name, but I feel like I'm going to pronounce it horribly. So I'm just going to do Ishdate.
Ishidate. Yes, you got it. Yes, thank you.
It didn't sound nothing like how you pronounce it.
I only know because I was him. Otherwise, I would have pronounced it the same way. And thank you. You got it, and I did not. So Ishidate teleports down the beach right in front of Naruto, slugs him as hard as he can in the head. Naruto goes flying down the beach and winds up face down in the sand. And I'm like, oh, that was so satisfying.
If I remember correct, after that, I think he goes into the Ninetales mode and start kicking butt.
And then, and then there's a group, like Ishidate has a crew and Naruto has a crew, and it's crew versus crew and stuff. I liked it. It was the third movie, and people were like, yeah, it has the curse of the third movie. It's not our favorites, but I liked it.
I thought it was really good.
I was thrilled to be part of the franchise. They brought me in at the tail end of Full Metal Alchemist, and I did the very last movie that they did for Full Metal Alchemist. Can't remember the name of that one either, but I was Colonel Soyuz. I remember that because I remember thinking, oh, like the Russian spacecraft. Soyuz, that's kind of cool. And I was the bad guy. I literally had a mustache that I twirled. The reception to that was kind of like, the Full Metal movie, not crazy about it. And I'm like, I don't care. I got to be in Full Metal before it went away.
That's where we played Major Peters?
Major Peter Soyuz. Okay. Yeah.
And the Sacred Star of
Milos. That's right. Thank you. See, you're the man with all the answers.
I'm just Googling as you're saying them.
Don't give away your trade secret. Just like, yes, I'm getting these answers telepathically.
You know, I knew what you were going to say before you said it.
That's right. We almost don't have to do this. You just know, except there are people out there in the world who don't know what I'm going to say. So I have to say it. Thank you. Thank you. You're being very kind to them.
Well, my next question I want to ask you is there anyone you want to shout out for being a good support system for you over the years? And can you tell us why having a support system has helped you and why it's important?
It is. It's okay. Voice acting is knowing your craft. It's knowing how to do the job when you get into the room. That's 10%. 90% of the job is trying to get the job. And that comes from getting auditions. But how do you get auditions? You get the casting director to know who you are. How do you get the casting director to know who you are? Well, you can take the shotgun approach and just send your voice demo to them, or you can get a hold of an audition and sneak it in, or people that who have worked for that casting director or that studio can make an introduction. Okay. And that way the casting director or the studio knows who you are, and they're like, okay, we'll put you on our list. And then you get the auditions when the next time they come around. You book a job and they're like, okay, now we know that you can do the work, and we will continue to send these auditions to you. I have to say that my wife Cindy and I, we've been together for 11 years now, and but we were friends for 10 years before that. We were just really good buddies, and we met on a job, and we just hit it off. And she introduced me to so many people that I would then wind up working with.
Wow. Okay.
And still do. Now, you have to be able to do the job.
For
It's
sure.
not like hey, come on and hire Cindy's boyfriend, kind of thing. In fact, that could kind of go against you sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, if the door is open for you, you have to be able to walk through the door. So a big shout out to Cindy for facilitating a lot of introductions back in the day, and to another dear friend of mine, Karen Strassman, who is a phenomenal voice actress. She and I met 20 plus years ago, and we were doing a series of commercials for Pillsbury, a series of holiday commercials for Pillsbury, where we were playing a married couple with family and stuff like that. And so we spent the day together, and we really hit it off. We became really good friends. And at one point, she said to me, "Well, do you know so and so?" No. She says, "Well, do you know so and so?" No. "Do you know this studio?" I'm like, "Well, I know who they are, but I've never worked for them." "Do you know this casting director?" No. She goes, "Well, I've got some phone calls to make." And she did. She was incredibly generous and incredibly kind. And between she and Cindy, I went from being someone kind of outside the castle going, "Oh, I want to be in there. That's where all the voice acting is happening." And all of a sudden the drawbridge came down and they said, "Well, come on in and audition for some stuff." And I've had a career ever since, because I've been working on things. I've been working in anime and on games and stuff for since 1983. But I always had to have a day job. I've had some really interesting day jobs. I was a casting director. I was an agent. I did subtitling for movies. I worked in the art department for movies and television. So I've had really good, really fun jobs, but voiceover was always the thing that I wanted to be doing. And so, I did that I had a day job for 20 years along with it. And it was, 2002, I guess, that finally I didn't have to have a day job, because you make one connection, and the business is about connection. It's about relationships. It's about who knows you, who wants to work with you, who's confident about working with you. Do you deliver for them? Do you take stress off their plate? Directors and producers and studios have a tremendous amount of stress meeting product deadlines and broadcast deadlines and client deadlines and juggling clients that are outside the country who may see things a little bit differently. And the last thing they need is an actor coming in and being difficult in any way. And I don't just mean, having an attitude or what have you, but, being late. Or exactly, or just adding one more bit of stress that nobody needs. That's one of the things I agree with what Tom Hanks said, when he said, "Know your lines, be on time, have an idea." And have an idea meaning, something that you can contribute that's original and unique. And the Oscar winner Michael Caine, he just said, don't add stress to their lives. You want to be the actor that takes it away. And that's just such a healthy philosophy, because I've been on the other side. I've been in the casting process, and I can't count the number of times people go, "Well, this guy's actually the best in the role, but for whatever reason, we don't want to work with him." And I don't mean personality wise, but it just means, that's another level of stress that we don't want to deal with. So, hey, number 2 gets the role. Congratulations, number 2. But that's how you build a career. And then all of a sudden, after you've done that, at a certain point, you are somebody's first choice, and you also take away stress from their plate. Boy, that was a long-winded rant. Thank you for your patience. Dang. You didn't play me off like I'm at the Oscars or something. I appreciate that.
Well, I wanted to hear your full thing, but one thing I found interesting is basically you had two people kind of open the gate for you to let you in.
Yes.
Have you opened the gate for anybody?
Probably. I'm hard pressed to say, oh yeah, well, so and so, but I love to make connections. That feels really good. So if I know of an opportunity that someone that I know would be right for, and that they do a good job, I'll open the door and let them walk through it. Okay. That's joyful. That's really, really, really fun. And that leads into the community. The voiceover community is a very, very friendly community, very supportive.
Yeah, especially all the people I've talked to, it sounds like you all get along and talk to each other and hype each other up. So I feel like that's amazing.
I think we do. And people say, well, do you hang out with each other when you're not working? Yes, we do. We go to each other's kids' birthday parties, and we go to Dodger games, and we go to Christmas parties, and we love to see each other out in the world. My son is a filmmaker, and he grew up in the booth with me pretty much. And so he loves to put the voice actors that he worked with in his films and in his projects.
Has he done voice acting too?
He has, but only minimal. He was in an animated movie called Prodigies, which I have never been able to find a copy of.
I'm trying to look into that. Okay.
He and I were both in that back when he was little. But no, he's an author now. He's an author and a screenplay writer and a film director.
Oh, that's amazing.
So for everybody out there, the movie is called Screwdriver. It's on Amazon.
Oh, that the movie just put out?
That's the movie. It came out about a year and a half ago. But that was his first screenplay. Prepare to be uncomfortable. Be very uncomfortable.
Is it a scary movie?
It's a domestic thriller. It's just very uncomfortable. It is scary because there's a lot of WTF and a lot of what's our cursing ceiling?
As long as it come natural, you're not just
okay. So there's a lot of mindfuckery going on in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Is a young woman seeks refuge in a home of a wealthy man and his wife?
That's it.
Okay. I'm definitely going to check this out.
It's
on Tubi too. Okay.
Is it? Oh, yay. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. We're kind of winding down to our last two questions.
Oh, okay. Well, it's fun.
For my next question, I want to ask you is,
yes, sir.
What emotion do you find hard to portray with just your voice?
Sincerity.
Yeah, I can understand
that is the joke that I make because I play so many snarky douchebags. For the longest time, I was villains. I was these erudite. I'm better than you. Well, aren't you special? I would play bad guys. I would play demons. Just the closest I got to a hero would be the hero's best friend who sells him out and dies, kind of thing. And I just used to joke, and people would say, okay, now we got to rein this in. We got to rein the snark in. You got to be a little more sincere on this. And I'm like, I don't do sincerity. And which is not true. It's just for the longest time, that was a muscle that never got worked out. Now it's different. Which emotion? Wow.
Maybe they were trying to tell you something with all that casting.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah. Wow. Not that I haven't ever asked myself that. God, what emotion? What emotion? I don't know, because I definitely, at this point in my career, I've definitely run the gamut.
You probably tapped into all of them.
Yeah. Even for characters that you wouldn't expect, because they either they look so silly, or they're so broad, or the animation is so stylized.
So when you get into those scenes where there's a lot of emotions you have to get into, do you kind of bring yourself back to a point where you had those same emotions, or do you just try to act them out based on how you feel they should be portrayed?
There's a little bit of both. I definitely try to put myself in a genuine and authentic headspace for
Okay.
it. But I also have been doing this for a while, and so I know that there are some tricks that I can do, some physicality tricks that
Makes it sound better.
that will, because you don't always have time to, like, give me a second, I gotta get into the space, or like we have a deadline, come on, get into the space. So, if I have to be sad, just exhale and don't have much air in your lungs, and all of a sudden you sound sad. And that was a trick I learned from my mentor, my voiceover mentor, who was very big on the acting part of voice acting. He was the voice of Hanna-Barbera cartoons back in the 60s and the 70s. He was the original voice of Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and Quick Draw McGraw and Captain Crunch. And
I should know the name of this person, man.
On the Flintstones. Dawes Butler was his name.
Okay.
And I studied with Dawes from 1982 until he died in 1988. And he was magnificent. We would go over to his house, and we would sit in his little home studio, and he would go to his file cabinet and pull out scripts. And these were scenes that he had written. And he's like, okay, do the scene. And I'm like, wait, what is this? I want to do silly voices. Teach me how to do silly voices. And he was like, I'm teaching you how to act. And then we'll work on the silly voices. But he would, every once in a while, he'd give us these little tidbits, like, exhale. If you have to be sad, just exhale and then say your line, and you will just naturally sound sad.
Okay.
So it's a combination of both. I get myself in as much of a headspace as I can instantaneously, and then I will pull out the physical tricks too. It's a combination.
The very interesting thing about that, I had someone kind of answer that, and then she was like, no, I don't like to put myself into those uncomfortable situations, because now I have to think about that all the time.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So now I wonder if do people have other ways to get into those type of situations? So
definitely.
And for my last question, I want to ask you, what ambitions or goals do you have yet to fulfill in the field of voice acting that you still want to do?
I have not done nearly enough original animation.
Okay.
I haven't done. I have done some, and that I've loved being able to do. I did some work on Scooby-Doo, and I got to be a character that was iconic for me when I was growing up, because they did a crossover between Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest. And I got to be the character of Raysean in the episode. And I'm Luke Skywalker in Phineas and Ferb Star Wars. And so I've gotten the opportunity to do a decent amount, but I just love it so much. It's the one time when you get all the actors in the room together. For dubbing, we are by ourselves in a little booth, in a gray padded booth like the other crazy people. And we do our lines one at a time. We don't bounce them off the other characters. Our voices go out into the ether, and until I go to a convention or a card show, I have no idea if anybody's ever even seen the stuff that I do. So that's one of the things that I love, emotionally about doing the conventions, is meeting the people. It's like, oh, I do exist. This character that I did, and it did have an impact on some people. I'm so glad. So I would like to do more original animation. I have some projects that I'm developing that are my own creations.
Okay.
That I would love to see have a life out in the world, because writing comedy is something that I have always loved to do. I have a very sitcom-y brain, and I'm developing a show right now starring my wife, and a bunch of other projects that have kind of languished over the years. My New Year's resolution for 2025 was, you have all of these projects, some of which are decades old. They deserve to be finished. Finish them. If anything comes of it, then great. That's gravy, but finish them.
For sure.
And so that's what I've been doing in 2025 is finishing projects that have been half finished or 99% finished for sometimes years. And I'd love to see them out in the world, even if it's just cut up into 90-second clips on TikTok.
For sure.
So yeah, that's probably in the short term. That's what I would like to achieve, and continue to do parts in other people's existing animated shows. And continue to do anime. I love doing anime. I love dubbing live action. I have dubbed so much live action in my life, shows that nobody has seen or will probably ever see. But that's my new day job. I get to do that, and I don't have to say, "Would you like fries with that?"
And sometimes you got to take one for the other.
And kudos to the people who do say, "Would you like fries for that?" Because
someone has to do that job.
They're working on their own thing too. And day jobs are necessary. They're necessary until you don't need them.
For sure. I have a day job right now, and hopefully one day this podcast takes off and I don't have to do it again.
You are the hero the city needs, man.
But I will say, hopefully all those come true. I hope some of those projects that you're working on get to see the light of day. You write comedy. That's interesting, because I've been trying to write a comedy movie myself, which kind of in the same bout with you. I've kind of wrote on it a little bit, and then took a little bit of a break, come back to it a little bit. So I've only gotten like 4 or 5 scenes done like in the year that I've been working on it. So I'm trying.
Well, good for you. I have faith in you. I'm sure you can do it.
For sure. I think most likely I can't wait to see any of your projects come out.
Thank you. I will send up a flare, and you will be the first person to know if I'm able to get anything up on its feet.
For sure. And if you want to go ahead and cast me, I'm a voice actor in the making.
All right.
I'm right here.
It's who you know.
Yep.
There we go. Absolutely.
And you gotta shoot your shots. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And with that basically takes us to the end of our episode. I didn't know if there was anything else you want to discuss before we wrap up, or.
Oh wow. Let's see. I'm just trying to think of what I have out in the world right now. I have an ongoing character in Elder Scrolls Online. If there are some gamers out there, I'm the voice of Razumdar. I have been his voice for over 10 years now. And let's see, on Netflix, I am Musashi in Yaiba Samurai Master. And I'm in Rurouni Kenshin. I'm blanking on the name. I'm in Rurouni Kenshin.
Okay.
And that's currently on Crunchyroll. We're in between seasons 1 and 2 for both those shows. I'm traveling around the country doing a lot of conventions. I'm going to be at San Japan
Is it Ninja?
Next Labor Day. Yes. Is it the old guy?
Yep.
I'm the old guy. Yeah. Who's actually a badass. So.
Oh, you're also in Boruto. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Katasuke.
Yep. He's the scientist guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting in touch with my inner nerd on that one. So yeah, come meet me at a convention. I would love that. I love to meet people. I'm going to be all over the US in the coming year, and then in the UK in March. I'm going to be in Cardiff, Wales, for 3 weekends. So for your fans in the UK, come find me there.
For sure. You gotta let me know if you ever come to Ohio, because that's where I'm based at. So
I will do that. What part of Ohio?
I live in Cincinnati.
I've heard of that.
I'm glad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Well, there are some cities that's like, where is that?
You have a football team with really cool helmets.
And a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
We just haven't played to this year,
Yeah.
Where are you based? You in California right now?
I am in LA. Yeah.
In LA. Are you
grew up in San Francisco? Now I live in LA.
Are you a Rams fan?
I am. And I was a Rams fan back when they were the Rams, before they moved to St. Louis. And I felt so betrayed. Yeah, this is and I've tried to like the Raiders, but it's like pick one place and stay there.
Raiders
growing up in the Bay Area, I was a big fan of the old school Raiders, the Oakland Raiders. But then they moved to LA. I moved to LA. They moved back. I'm like, you guys are just trying to get away from me. Now I'm in LA, and they moved to Las Vegas. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you just can't keep them. I understand.
Yeah. Oh, well, a girl can dream.
Well, with that, we end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the industry of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. Before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to plug himself, basically tell the audience where they can find me.
If you are on the socials, you can find me on the Instagrams. I am an old guy, so I say the Instagrams. I am at Get Me Smith. And if you are on the Twitters, because I'm an old guy, I say the Twitters. I am also at Get Me Smith. And if you are looking for me on the Facebooks, Christopher Smith Voice Actor, you can find me there. And drop me a line. I'll drop you a line back.
Sure. If you guys want to reach out and tell him he's done amazing in all these roles he's done, go ahead and shoot him a message. I have all his links and stuff below. And with that, I just want to say, peace.
Raysean, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
It was nice having you.